How do you deal with those kinds of perceptions that people have of real things that have occurred? Okay, what else? Already occurring, that we're already in the midst of, that from your perspective, whatever kind of work in the church that you do, that you're dealing with already, that are uncertainties, that are concerns, that are aspirations. Any other things? Okay, if you did have other things, what might they have been? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Decline and financial things.
Decline? What kind of decline were you talking about?
In people coming to church. I mean, It ties into what she said she left, but that priorities, and then there's decline, and then we're not getting the financial resources, and then am I going to have a job, and what's going to happen? I mean, it's this horrible negativity spiral.
Sure. Okay. So we're dealing with that. Okay, the decline in attendance and participation, decline in finances, and then the uncertainty about, gosh, are they even going to be able to sustain the ministries, the positions that they have in this church if this trend continues? I think, Chris, is it?
Yep. Just how Christianity is not the majority in the United States anymore. Mm-hmm. Just how that landscape's changed and what that means in terms of how we minister and how people come to the door.
Okay, right. We can't assume that Christianity is the religion that people were raised in, and so forth. And when people come into the door, we're having to deal with whatever kind of experience or relationship they might have had. One more over here.
How we engage in the gap between the rich and the poor, and various racial divisions and sectors of our world.
Right, right. All of those divisions, all of those growing gaps that are happening, and how do we, as church and as leaders within the church, how do we respond to those? So we're
the gay marriage issue, that's both a challenge and an opportunity.
Okay.
At least for us.
All right, so marriage equality, same-sex marriage, how people deal with that, relate to that, you as a church, how you respond to that. Okay? Other things that are happening that are on the horizon, challenges. Yes?
Just engagement with environmental catastrophe.
Okay, engagement with climate change, catastrophe, all of that. How do we manage? How do we prepare? How do we build faith in the midst of those that are the not yet occurrences in our lives? Other things. Yes, Steve.
John, there's a general anxiety about where we are today, and for the older folks like me, thinking about the way it used to be, living with those expectations about what the vision of the church was in the good old days, and where we are today and where we're going.
Okay, anxiety, just anxiety. Where's this going? I'm not so sure I have a map for the territory before me. I wasn't necessarily prepared for this. We don't seem prepared as a church. What do we do with that uncertainty or that anxiety? Yes?
Less knowledge about denominational differences and less interest in denominations.
Okay. People are not so knowledgeable about them or don't really have much interest in the differences across denominations. Yes?
I was going to say that, tagging off of what Randy said over here, about the informal authority of the church is that oldest generation, and they're passing away.
Yeah. Okay, passing away of those who had authority, the older generation. Yeah.
Sort of juxtaposition of the lack of trust and admiration of an organized religion, and yet the societal norm of, okay, churches and religious institutions, you do social service agencies. So we have that weird paradox.
Yeah? Okay, great. What are some of the things that you see as opportunities for us as church, as people who work in the church, that are on the horizon of the world or the church or the communities that we're serving? What are some of those opportunities that are beckoning us, that are calling us, that are in some ways calling forth some capacities in us that we know are going to need to be cultivated or strengthened in some way? What are some of the opportunities? Yes, please.
I just think an honest dialogue about what our questions are about faith, where for a long time I think as things change and the older generation passes away, that like the certain answer that used to be there isn't there, and people are willing to say, this is where I struggle, this is where I'm a skeptic, and I think it's really refreshing and inviting to younger people.
Yeah, okay, it has that kind of atmosphere and that kind of ambiance in the church where we raise our real questions, where we are able to use both intelligence and imagination as we grapple with the questions of faith and re-traditionalize some of those things that we would have otherwise just downloaded from the past. And we're having to, in some ways, reimagine what our faith means to us and to create that kind of ambiance that's welcoming and inclusive of that kind of serious seeking. Okay, yes. I could have said it better myself.
We have to figure out how to market the church. We've got the technology, but if we aren't marketing the church in a way that people can see us and hear us, and if we're not right out there with the rest of what's being marketed.
All right. So there's an opportunity for marketing, for telling the message, to being in the marketplace in some ways, and to say, here's what we have to offer.
Yes, I think one of the opportunities for us in the metro area in particular is the opportunity to welcome new immigrants. My congregation got involved with that through resettlement of refugees, basically social service. We didn't expect that would lead to membership in the congregation necessarily. We were just trying to help resettle refugees and from Togo. And now, 10, 12 years later, we have 30 Togolese members. And none of them were Lutheran in Togo. There aren't Lutherans in Togo, in West Africa. But they came from Catholic and Reformed or Presbyterian backgrounds there. Okay. But now they're happy to be in a Lutheran community. And I think that opportunity among Liberians, we have a large number of immigrants in the metro area, as you know. It's an opportunity to welcome them into our community.
Right, okay, great. So strengthening those capacities of welcoming and being that global community, even in our own neighborhood, is an opportunity.
We have the opportunity to be creative. We don't have to be the same. We can try the words. We've never done it that way before should be banned.
Okay.
We should be able to just try new things. We should be able to fail. We should be able to just do new things and just keep creating and respond to what's there rather than what we think it should be.
Okay, to foster that creativity and that ongoing innovation, and to learn even from things that might seem failures so that they allow us to move forward in some different way and keep trying those changes.
Hunger to serve and to make a significant impact on the good of the world.
Okay.
Healing of the world.
I'm assuming your comment got caught by the microphone, so I'm not going to repeat it. Okay. Yes.
I think we're living in a culture that's moved more and more into business mode, bottom line, a rational approach to everything. And we're a community that honors mystery. And it feels to me like there's going to be a need for that and an appreciation for it.
All right, so the gift that our church community, our spiritual community has to offer around mystery is one that might be deeply needed as we move forward into the years ahead and to keep cultivating it. And ritual. Okay, maybe one or two more comments here and then we'll...
Just our world with all the technological stuff and having Facebook and social media, whatever, but our people are so very lonely, and the church has this opportunity to provide them profoundly deep, real, organic relationships.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge opportunity.
Right. So we have the opportunity to create real, organic, high-touch opportunities for people to be in community. Can we live up to that opportunity? And I think one more we'll take. Jen, is it?
Yes, I was going
Stand,
to kind of
please.
say, in both of those, alongside of that, like the silence and meditation, I think we're all like so busy.
Yeah.
For us to just have that depth and that understanding and a place to go, instead of adding like another program or event, it's just come and chill out, like sleep if you need to sleep, hang out, like close your eyes and just be quiet. And I think we'll crave that.
Yeah. So what would it be like for us to be known as the place that provides that kind of calm, that kind of refreshment, that kind of renewal of the spirit, that kind of relaxation, that kind of deep meditative quiet that's so is so desired and needed in a very busy, overextended world? What would it be like, and how can we make that opportunity more present to others? One response is to dodge and duck and dip and dive and dodge again. Okay? To keep doing that. And oftentimes that's what we observe sometimes when we are filled with anxiety or uncertainty or feeling inadequacy. We're just dodging and dipping and diving. But there are also some other responses that I've noticed. See if you can identify this in yourself or in someone you know. One would be the resignation. There's nothing we could do. We've tried this, we've tried that. Those soccer games on Sunday, we just got to face it. We've just got to throw our hands up in resignation. Okay? Have you ever heard that kind of response of resignation? Yes or no? Yes. All right. Then there can be that response of resentment. What does that sound like in the church? In face of this landscape? What does that sound like among leaders or people who work within the church? What's the resentment voice? What does that sound like? What are some of those people? Okay, what else? Sheer silence. Okay. It's a Minnesota nice. Okay, thanks for interpreting that for me. You're taking, okay, so the way the resentment might get, you're taking care of them, not us. Those people out there or those new people or whatever, and neglecting us. So there's a sense of resentment. What is it that we can try? To move from resentment to resolution, to move from resignation to resolution. A resolution being, this is what I want to declare. This is what I want my ministry to mean. This is what we are able to do. This is something we can try. And oftentimes we need greenhouses. Greenhouses of the Spirit that will build that kind of resilient and soulful leadership among us. Greenhouses that will help us counteract the tendency towards resignation or resentment and help us cultivate resolution that can lead to resilience. So let's take a moment now together to begin to reflect on what do we know about resilience and what brings about resilience. And we'll use this as a kind of a springboard for our then talking about the specific work that peer groups have in cultivating resilience. Resilience is the capacity to keep trying. Resilience is springing back. Resilience is moving forward with faith, even when you have uncertainty. What would you add to my definition of resilience? What else would you say about resilience? I'm sorry, what? Steadfastness is resilience, okay? Any other words or phrases you would add to resilience? How do you know you're being resilient? I'm resilient when what?
When I'm hopeful.
When I'm hopeful.
Bounce back after failure.
Okay, bounce back after failing. And keep bouncing back, maybe. Did I hear? When I laugh. That sense of laughter. Holding things lightly rather than as a death sentence or the final chapter. Always in faith or expectation, thinking that if I turn the page, that something else might also occur. But what are some of the things that you or someone you may know says or does that is an obstacle or hinders resilience? What are some of those things? Let's hear some of those. Yes?
The sheer number of times it's called for.
Okay.
The number of times resilience is needed.
Okay. Right. I mean, I have a limited amount of resilience, and it's being called upon so often that I just don't have it in me anymore, if I can exaggerate a little bit.
First 15 or 20 maybe, but after that.
Yeah, my limit's 15. That's it. Okay, what else?
Notions of what success means, both those I carry around and those that are imposed upon me.
Okay, notions of success can be an obstacle to resilience because
When we don't, when we don't succeed, then it's
okay.
easy to be discouraged about it.
Okay, so I might have a notion, and when I don't succeed at that particular notion, I say, well, forget it. There's no use. I'm a failure.
When we throw a seed that lands on the sidewalk, we say, darn it, this doesn't work.
Yeah, the seed on the sidewalk did not sprout. Must be something about me. Why should I even try again? Okay.
Picking up on what Randy said, when we don't see a setback as part of the cycle of
Ah.
the overall creative process.
Okay, right, okay. So what can be seen as failure might have just been a setback on an overall process.
You have to fail in order to keep going.
That's right. Susan B. Anthony said, failure is impossible.
Just lack of vision.
A lack of vision can be an obstacle to resilience. Can't see anything beyond what is. Okay, what else?
A culture of negativity.
Culture of negativity. Is that sometimes happens in the church?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of it. I've read about it. Okay, and notice how sometimes, as someone who's observed a lot of clergy groups, for example, over the last 10 years or so, sometimes there can be a culture of negativity that people aren't even aware of. It's kind of the familiar moaning and groaning sound. It's camping out at the Wailing Wall. And certainly all of those can be parts of a process, but you only stay in the moaning groan. If you only stay in the Wailing Wall and make it permanent residence, you aren't able to move beyond that. Okay, some other things, yes, right here.
Poor self-care.
Poor self-care is what? Is an obstacle to resilience because?
When you don't take care of yourself, you have no ability to bond.
Okay, when you aren't taking care of yourself, you don't have that capacity or that ability.
The culture that...
Please stand. I have asked people to stand.
The culture that assigns expertise to very few or to one.
Yeah, okay. All right, culture that assigns it. So, there can be a lot of bystanders then. It's not my role, it's not my responsibility.
Fear, or fear even to imagine something that is so different than what we know.
Yeah. Okay, fear or fear of something that we imagine. That might even be we might imagine something more difficult than what actually is, and that can be an obstacle to resilience? Is that what you're saying?
And fear even to go out of the box. I mean, just it doesn't have to be even within denomination. I mean, it can be so much larger than what we know.
Yeah.
But just to step out of those things that we know and be willing to do that.
Yeah. Fear of stepping out of the boxes. Some of the boxes we've created ourselves. Some of the boxes have been created for us. Those inhibit our capacity to be resilient and to be always innovating and trying something new. Maybe a few more here, or we can move over to the next. Yes, Jen?
I would maybe say like power dynamics on like staff and leadership roles and things like that.
Yeah. So how might that particularly show up as an obstacle to resilience, just in your imagination?
I'm just thinking in terms of like not wanting to change, not wanting to listen or work together, work as a team.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that, so.
Yeah. So there can be kind of an unwritten covenant of we're not changing anything. We're just going to keep things as they are, and the message becomes clear that you shouldn't try to change anything. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I think it's more like just the power dynamics and
Just
every
the-
relationship.
Okay.
You know,
The dynamic of.
in the team.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I understand. I don't actually have the role or the power to do this, so yeah. Given this landscape that we've defined, what are the things that help us move towards resilience? Yes?
Eliminating the word failure
Yeah.
and seeing it as a learning opportunity
Okay.
or a growth area that you can move forward and say, we'll do it differently next time.
Okay.
That was a bomb. We are terrible, but
Right.
reframing and eliminating the word failure.
Yeah, okay. Always reframing failure and asking the question, what have we learned from this? What can we do differently moving forward? Okay? Yes?
self-awareness, of knowing where your blinders are and who hooks you and when you need to ask for help and what you